Okay, so we have 3B.3 today. Here are all the properties. I would pause this right now and copy those down because while I'm writing, the bottom section will be covered up. So we'll start with parallel sides. So that's the same as a parallelogram. Opposite sides are parallel and congruent. So this side is the same as this side, but also on a rhombus, all sides are congruent. So this side is the same as this side. It's the same as a square, except it is turned over a little bit. Opposite angles are still congruent, so D is the same as B, where A and C are the same. Consecutive angles are supplementary, just like pretty much everything else. Diagonals bisect each other. So this is the same as this. This one is the same as this one. If you wanted to draw a 90-degree angle in there, you could do that as well. Also, it bisects the angles, but those are already marked for us because we marked them previously. Okay, on to the square. So the first thing we all know is that they are all four right angles. All the sides are the same. Opposite sides are parallel. The diagonals are congruent and bisect each other. So therefore, they're all four the same. And then if you wanted to put that 90-degree angle in there, you could. So comparing the two, very similar, except the diagonals on a rhombus are different and the angles are not right angles like the square. Okay, so then pop down here and just copy everything from the top. Ooh. Hopefully your lines look better. Jeez, look better than mine do. Yeah, that one's fine. Okay, so there'd be your rhombus. And now to the square. Okay, so there's two super fast drawings. Hopefully your lines are a bit straighter and neater. But again, it's the same as the pictures from the top. Okay, now moving on to some problems. So they give us 38. So some easy ones that don't require math are, so this gets bisected. So if that is 38, 3 is also 38. Then you could do the opposite side. So if those two are both 38, then 4 and 5 would also be 38. Now on the left, you would have 38 plus 38 for a total of 76. So to find 6 and 7, you would do 180 minus 76, meaning that those two together are 104. to find 6 and 7, 104 divided by 2, so that is 52 and 52. 1 and 2 are the same, so those are also both 52. And then to find 8, you could do this two ways. 5 is 38, 6 is 52, so you could do 180 minus 38 minus 52, which would get you 90. Or you can remember from our picture that these bisect at right angles, so they are all right angles, so 8 would be 90. So if you remember it's a right angle, that'll save you a little bit of work, but otherwise the math isn't too much longer either. So if MNOP is a rhombus, find MP. So to start, you should know that MN is the same as PO. So property used, you could say opposite sides are congruent, but since this is a rhombus, it'd probably be easier to say all sides are congruent. So you would do 9x minus 77 equals 3x plus 7 minus 3x, add 77, 6x equals 84. So x equals 14. Now they want you to find MP, which there's no equation for, but MP would be the same as those. So you can pick whichever one is easier to plug it into. I think 3x plus 7 is easier, so I'll use that one. But again, it would be the same for both. 3 multiplied by 14 plus 7 would give you 49 for all four sides. Okay, number 3. You have these two angles, and they want you to find SUT, which is right there, and then RTU, which is right here. So to start, you have to figure out how those angles are related, and those angles are bisected. So you could do angle bisect for those as your reason. So they are the same. 10x minus 23 equals 3x plus 19 minus 3 plus 23. 7x equals 42, so x equals 6. You plug in 6, 3 times 6 plus 19 gives you 37. So SUT is 37. So this is 37. Now we need to find RTU, but to do that we have to know this angle, and like we did on number 1, this angle is 90. So we would do 180 minus 37 minus 90 to find that. Which would give us 53 for RTU. And we don't need to half that because we found this angle. So the whole thing is 106. So whenever you find the 53, you would be done. Okay, and then number 4. So we are doing distance formula. So the distance formula is x minus x squared plus y minus y squared, and then square root it. I'm going to show you the way I've shown my class, which isn't new, but it might be easier for you. They seem to do pretty well with it, so hopefully if you don't do it this way, this may help you. So you want to find how far apart the x's are. So your x's are 3 and 0. How far apart are those? Those are 3 apart, and those you square. And remember, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative distance. Like I say in class, if you had to run a mile and they said run a negative mile, it's still running even if it'd be backwards. So distances don't matter. You're literally just seeing how far apart they are. The y's, 2 and 6, are 4 apart. So you would do 3 squared plus 4 squared, which would give you 25. Then you need to square root that. So it is 5. Then they want you to find the perimeter. All 4 sides of a rhombus are the same. So you would do 5 times 4 to give you a total perimeter of 20. And if you didn't like doing the distance formula that way, the other way you should have wrote it out would be 3 minus 0 squared plus 6 minus 2 squared, and then squared all of that. But again, that means exactly the same with what I wrote in green. Okay, into the square problems. So if STUV is a square, SW is 2x plus 23, and WU is 8x minus 41. Find VT. So how are SW and WU related? They're equal, and they're equal because of diagonal bisect. So it cuts those two in half, making them be the same amount. So 2x plus 13 equals 8x minus 41 minus 2x plus 41. So you get 54 equals 6x. So x equals 9. Now both equations are the same, so you can plug it into either. I'll plug it into SW because that's possibly easier to do in your head. So 2 times 9 plus 13 would give you 31. So that is 31, and this is 31. So if you wanted to find VT, it's the same as both of those together. So 31 plus 31 would give you a final answer of 62. Okay, 6. Not much information, but it's actually pretty easy. So FGHI is a square, solve for x. So you should know that this corner is a right angle. It's also getting cut in half. So if you cut a right angle in half, you would get 45 degrees. Minus 3, 7x equals 42, x equals 6. Okay, now we're down here. So again, using some of the knowledge from 6, we'll be able to find these out. So we have PRS. So your thought should be, is that a right angle or is it half of it? That is half of it, so it would be 45. So now we have STR. Is that a right angle or is it half of it? Hopefully you can tell that that is a 90-degree angle. Then we have PSR. Is that a right angle or is it half of one? That is also, that's also a right angle. And then we have QPR. Again, is that a right angle? That one is not. That is just half of one. So that would be 45. Okay, ABCD forms a square. Now this is just like number 4. Squares and rhombus both have all 4 sides the same, so you need to find one and just multiply it by 4, but this one also has an area on it. So we have -3, 2, and 214. So you're doing the distance of the x's first. So from -3 to 2, how far is that? That is 5 apart. From 2 to 14, how far apart is that? That is 12 apart, so you square both. So 5 squared plus 12 squared equals 169. You square root that to get 13. So if you had your square here, this is 13, this is 13, this is 13, this is 13. So to find perimeter, you add them all up. So 13 times 4, which is 52. To find area, it is length times width. So 13 times 13, which would take us back to 169. And then another important part to remember, if I can get this to go away, is quiz next class over this. So you may be needing a good quiz to come up. I think this one's one of the more attainable ones. There's not very many properties on it. It's more of just figuring out the equations. So if you need help, get help, but you will be having a quiz next class.